My name is Daniel Mansfield, and I'm doing this for Choice HR. This is an introduction video. The first thing I'd like to say is that I've realized that almost everybody has a special talent, special genius. There are 11 kinds of geniuses, and probably more, but there are at least 11 kinds of geniuses, and I believe that most people have at least a spark in one of those categories. And their life is altered by how they cultivate that intelligence, that genius, that specialness. And so life gets altered and they pursue them or they don't. So I'm just going to talk about where my special talents are, skills are. I have a skill in reading people. I was a minister years ago and I retired, and I always had an interest in why people did things. At first they started to confuse me, and then I started to learn more about psychology and human behavior, and so I have a very good knowledge of why people do things and why people say things and what they say. So I've been studying that, and it's just sort of a thing I do. But what it meant is I have a special talent with people. People tend to want to talk to me and want to listen to me, and that's kind of a rare thing. It's been years cultivating, but in business it's been extremely useful to have people listen to you. I've been able to do public speaking before, and so I have those skills. Doing internet videos, so I have those skills. And I'm a people person. I've had jobs where I dealt with remarkably harsh people, and it doesn't bother me, and I do really well with them. So that's one of my skills. My other skill is that, and it's probably genetic, but I have an unusually high IQ. Every time I take a test for industry and for an intelligence test for companies, I wind up being classified as I should be the CEO, which is funny because I'm a CEO now of Choice HR, but I don't feel that way. But anyway, I have an unusually high IQ. I have a troubleshooter, kind of like a fixer type of mindset. I like fixing things, and I've been able to practice that in the business world, and I enjoy that aspect, finding out what a problem is and finding out what the solutions are, whether they're people solutions or process solutions or just other possibilities. So I've been able to enjoy that aspect of my life. And that is certainly a skill, because some people just go on with their life and they don't try to fix anything. It's good with businesses because I've had two jobs. The last two jobs were me fixing things. The last job I had was as a HUD housing specialist for HUD in Warrington, Oregon, and it was a great experience. I had a great boss that helped, but what happened is that there was a shortage of qualified people with skills, and the people that were driving in were just not going to do the drive for that HUD, and so they would go quickly, and I saw half a dozen people or more come and go within 2 weeks of employment. And so we started to do the job anyway by using what people were available there and by specializing it and changing how HUD normally does it, which meant a lot of cross-training. I had a great boss, and I did the training. I learned it and did the training myself. I did a lot of training, and I managed the office, and I managed a lot of the communications, and I did manage my part of the process. And that was really rewarding. It was a great job. I enjoyed it considerably. And then I was moving, and so I put in my resignation. I gave them a month so I could train somebody, and they asked me to stay on in remote, and I did remote for a long period of time, and I stopped doing remote because the construction of new processes, or the new buildings, were greatly delayed. So I left the company a long time later. So the company before that, I worked in Anchorage, Alaska. I worked for the Medicaid, Alaska and Medicaid, but I worked for a consulting company, a processing company, and that was enjoyable. And my technical title was Finance Assistant Resolutions and Interventions. And what it meant was I fixed problems. I was another troubleshooter, and I have a talent towards mathematics. I love mathematics, and so I was able to put that in together with my people skills and dealing with a lot of angry doctors and finance departments of giant corporations. And so that was something that I enjoyed. I made, it was the first time that was tried, and I actually developed the department. I taught it to my successor when I left Alaska. And Alaska it's tough to live there, but we loved it. It was a great experience, but we wanted to come down to the States, so we did. I actually invented some processes that are still being used by the federal government and by Alaska state Medicaid. So that was a wonderful experience for me, and I had some great bosses, and I have letters of recommendation from both those companies about how well I did. So the other thing I've done in HR is I had Choice HR before, in which we were just doing contract work. And last year, we have Choice HR going right now. And last year we had a great experience with the year. Financially, we did great. My wife wants to get to more local work. And so she's looking for local work, and I'm going to continue with this work. And I can do either a W-2 or a 1099. That's fine. We can do both. We're set up as a company. So the other thing, too, is between us, we have a master's degree, a bachelor's degree, certificates in paralegal, which I worked for the Supreme Court of the state of California. And I got a letter of appreciation for that from the governor, believe it or not. And then I had a really highly rated certification in paralegal. I've done, but right after becoming a minister, what I did was, as I started running companies, I had a manager personality too, and so I was running these companies, and not a single company that I ever ran didn't make more money and make more profit. So that's kind of a distinction of all the ones I did. The last one I did, because I have a mathematical mind, they had this brilliant idea to do their scheduling mathematically with this sheet of stuff you're supposed to do, and I wasn't doing it. And my boss would come to me and he'd say, well, you need to use this format. And I said, okay, but I'm going to cost more labor if I do that. And he said, what? And so I showed him all the figures, and I was actually beating their computerized versions of it. And then that allowed me to meet the vice president, one of the vice presidents of the company. It was a good experience. And so I was meeting him, and I expressed my management philosophy, something about it, and he hated it. And my boss defended me. He said, no, he's right. You would not believe it. He's never lost anybody. He doesn't lose people by them quitting or being unhappy with them or him firing them. He keeps them. And that was something unusual in my group of managers. None of them did that. Training, that led to training, management training, to where you can have less turnover. And turnover is out of control in this country. During the COVID years, it was like 48%, and now it's 18 or more percent, and some industries are reporting 40% as normal. It used to be 1.5%. So for years and years, it was 1.5%, 2%. It was considered bad. If you were over 2%, you were considered a bad company or a really poor quality employer. So management training is one thing. I didn't lose people. And I succeeded. And I beat their matrix by using common sense people skills. And so I was one of the few that I was given a giant promotion and given a lot of money as bonuses. But I didn't stay with the company. I liked the boss a lot, but I had to move. And they didn't have the company where I moved to. So I would have followed them if they did. I was told they would make sure that I had a job if I wanted to, which was rare for them. But so my management skills are really high. My teaching skills, the whole religion thing, the whole minister thing, my teaching skills are considered pretty high too. And I treat companies well. So I can do either W-2 or 1099 work. I'm looking for work right now for the coming future. Since my wife wants to get out of she's not getting out of it, she's going to do it, but she's going to do more remote stuff and not hands-on, and I'm hands-on. So there you go. There you have it. And thank you very much. Thank you for watching.